Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Yes, indeed. This is the big guy, Mike Avery, and welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. Outdoor Magazine is a 3-hour weekly radio show broadcast on 30 AM and FM stations across the great state of Michigan. It is, first and foremost and primarily, a radio show. I have to say that these days because I have a lot of people say, hey, I was listening to your podcast. And I said, oh, cool. Where did you listen to it? Oh, and they mention their local radio station. If you hear it on your local radio station, you are listening to the radio version of the radio show. And I do recommend the best way to listen to Outdoor Magazine Radio, if you can, is on your local AM or FM station. Because number one, the radio stations will air the content of the show before I upload the podcast. So you'll get the program first, and there might be some local news, weather, sports, even some ads, some commercials, some sales you want to take advantage of for Christmas. And by the way, Merry Christmas to you. But if you can't hear the radio show, you can always listen to the podcast version of the show, and it's nothing more than the audio from the radio show made available somewhere other than on your local radio station. Where do you find it? Thank you for asking. You can go to the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I put it on that website every week. I put it directly on my Facebook page as well. You can find it on Amazon Music, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Radio.com. And you know what? I even put it on YouTube. Why would you put a radio show on YouTube? I don't know, because I was able to do it. So you can hear it on YouTube as well. I also do an Outdoor Magazine podcast network where I produce monthly podcasts for Jay's Sporting Goods, Offshore Tackle, Angler Quest Boats, Killer Food Plots, Polar Craft Boats, quarterly podcast for MUCC. And we've got a new podcast kicking off with a new company after the first of the year. Details on that coming up. Regardless, though, if you are listening to the radio show or the podcast version of the show, I do certainly appreciate it. There are a lot of different media sources you could be consuming right now, and the fact that you hear my voice means a lot to me. You can always get in touch with me, by the way. The email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, or hit me up on any of the social media outlets if you have a question, a comment, a complaint, a criticism, whatever. I do want to hear from you, mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I was thinking the other day that I need to do a better job. Actually, I was thinking I need to do a better job of taking care of my guns, of cleaning my guns and maintaining my guns. I remember when I was a kid growing up, and it was a rule around our house, if you touched a gun, you cleaned it. If you went out hunting with it, you cleaned it. If you were out and it was wet, you cleaned it. You oiled it up. You took care of it. And I'm thinking these days, I got to be honest, I don't take as good a care of my guns these days as I did when I was growing up. I think there are a couple of factors for this. Number one, I feel like these new guns, because of the surfaces and the coatings and such, are maybe a little more resistant to abuse. But also, I think I don't take as good a care of them as I used to. And I was thinking that 30-06 that I had in the woods for the opening day of the firearm season, and I came back home and put in the safe, I don't want to leave it that way all winter long. When I think about guns and maintenance of guns, my mind goes to Glenn Duncan of Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City. Glenn is a master gunsmith. He has been in the shooting and gunsmithing business his entire life, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Glenn, welcome back. How are you?
You're welcome. Thank you. And Merry Christmas to you. And it's amazing, all the radio stations and all the podcasts and all the Twitters and all that stuff you do. It's just mind-boggling of that whole part of this world.
Well, and you know, it didn't start out this way. You know, it kind of evolved over time. That if I wanted to avoid getting a real job, I had to figure out a way to keep reinventing myself.
Good answer.
Oh, so listen, Glenn, how are things at Duncan's these days?
We're busy, very busy, and with the COVID, we're still only allowing a few people in the shop at a time. And you were here the other day, and you saw what it is and stuff. We just got to keep everybody spaced properly and make sure nobody gets sick here and stuff. Our employees got to make sure they stay healthy, and so we had to cut back our hours so we can spend more time cleaning. We make sure that we get everybody in as fast as we can and stuff, but we want to make sure that while they're in here, that they're in a safe environment, a very clean environment. So you'll see us wiping down guns all day long and stuff. And it's just a different world that we live in right now.
Well, it sure is. I remember last spring, though, you and my friends from Jay's up in Clare, you guys actually shut down for a while. The situation is worse these days, but I feel like businesses have kind of come up with a way of addressing this and dealing with this. So thank goodness you can keep your doors open now.
Very true. Yes, we all did. And Jeff, and talking with Jeff at Jay's and stuff, and Williams Gun Sight, and we all got together and had a discussion about it. We shut down for a week to put a plan together to make sure that what we're doing was right and good for our employees, number one, and good for our customers, number two. I know that sounds bad. I'm giving numbers and that, but you got to start at home and make sure everything's safe here so we can go and make your visit to us very safe. And so then we decided that we all went to curbside first, and then we made the next step of allowing a few people in the store. And how much space you got is what you have to live with. And so with Jay's can have a lot more people because he's got a lot more space to work with and stuff, where we are a more confined area and stuff. So, yes, we have all the ranges open again, and that's been good. But we still have to have limited space on the ranges and limited space for the shop itself.
So what are people coming in for these days? I wouldn't think they're coming in to sight in like they were before the gun season. What has people flocking to gun shops these days?
Well, we're just finishing up more of the sighting in and that because we had the late seasons and stuff that we had this year that where you can hunt rifles in the muzzling areas and stuff down south. All this just amazed me how things got changed and the licensing of deer hunting this year and stuff. So that made our season a lot longer than with muzzleloading season on top of it. So we're just finishing up setting in, and now we just got people coming in and want to figure out why they missed that deer. And 90% of it is not the gun's fault or the scope's fault, but they missed a deer and they're still puzzled about it. And so we're taking care of those problems right now.
Well, you mean it's not the gun's fault because it didn't get sighted in early, or it was just somebody got excited and got buck fever?
More buck fever. That's a disease that's really hard to understand. That one, it's like the COVID. We're having a rough time understanding buck fever.
Yeah, but buck fever is a good disease to have, though.
It is a fantastic one. It's hard to eat and have a meal on the table, but it's still better and healthier.
I thought when I asked what people were coming in for, I thought you were going to say they're coming in to try to find non-existent ammo.
You got that right. We've been pretty lucky, and even when you were in the other day and that, we were 9mm. It's in one day and out the next day. In one day and out the next day. 40 caliber, 45 caliber, 22 caliber. We still have, and it comes in daily and stuff. So we've been lucky as ever, and. But we ration it. It's a box per person, and the guy came yesterday from Detroit, and he's upset that we told him on the phone. He said, yeah, but I thought when I got here you'd give me 2 boxes. And I said, then the guy behind you doesn't get a box. And he's going, I totally understand. Thank you. And that was it. So
that's a long drive from Detroit to Bay City for 1 box of ammo.
Yep, it is. But if you've got a class coming on, or you just don't feel comfortable, or you don't have ammo, and all of a sudden you decided that it's time to get some ammo in the house, then that's at least you got a box.
So what's causing the shortage?
Lots of things this year. Number one, if we go back to January and February, we were all looking at our inventory and how much ammo we had. We all had a lot of ammo. We all had a lot of guns because last year's sales were not as high as it's been in 4 years ago, and we all bought a little bit heavier than we thought. And so the manufacturers were trying to figure out how to not make as much and stuff, but keep all their employees. The second part of that is Remington, with them, all their bankruptcy going on, and they just got bought out. But that was a big factor. Remington in their the covert got New York and stuff. It got so that wiped out Alien quite a bit, and so they weren't able to have full staffs there working. Fiocchi primers are used by a lot of other manufacturers like SIG Ammo and stuff that they're using Fiocchi primers out of Italy. And Fiocchi is building a new plant in Arkansas, and that was up and ready. They thought it was going to be up and ready before the shut off of the primers coming from Italy. And with the virus, it stopped construction, and so we got a big gap of 4 and 5 months that there was no primers out of Fiocchi, and so that hurt everybody also. So it's been a battle because of the virus, because of not being able to build plants and stuff, and also keep people working.
Hang tight, Glenn. We got to take a break here on the Outdoor Magazine Show. Talking with Glenn Duncan of Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City. The website, duncansoutdoor.com, duncansoutdoor.com. When we come back, get back to the original topic about maintaining your guns. Details coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. By now, you know all about Angler Quest boats. The center console design, binary wall system, and smooth ride with lots of room have anglers convinced a pontoon can be a great fishing rig. And the folks at Michigan-based Angler Quest continue to make their boats even better. Now, the signature rocket launcher Arch can tilt down. That's great for high water levels, trailering, and storage. Also, there's a new panfish model that's perfect for smaller inland lakes. The popular Pro Troll models continue to dominate big water for walleye, salmon, and trout, and the family fish can keep everyone happy, whether fishing or cruising. All Angler Quest boats are designed by fishermen and made in Michigan by skilled craftsmen using the latest technology. You can learn more online at anglerquestpontoons.com. That's anglerquestpontoons.com. With more models, upgraded designs, plenty of features, and bigger outboards, this is the perfect year for you to join the Angler Quest family.
At Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, Caro, and now Chesaning. We're better for a reason. Like Garber's low price guarantee. Get incredible everyday low prices on a new Chevy Equinox, Silverado, Traverse, or Trax. Think you found a better deal somewhere else? Bring it to us, and we will beat it. Getting more options and choices is always better. And Garber's combined inventory is the Great Lakes Bay region's largest selection of new Chevrolets. Browse online at garberchevrolet.com. Then use our Buy From Home feature to purchase entirely online. And Garber Chevrolet's customer service is in a class of its own. We always put your needs first. Better prices, better selection. There's a reason why you'll do better at Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, Caro, and now Chesaning. Home with a low price guarantee. Online at garberchevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You'll do better at Garber.
Everybody needs to put gas in their tank, so the next time, why not save money with fuel rewards from Forward Shell convenience stores? With fuel rewards, you'll save at least 5 cents a gallon on every fill-up at the 26 Forward Shell convenience stores. Plus, you can earn additional savings with select products and special offers at those Forward stores. You can save 20, 30, even 40 cents a gallon. And the more you use fuel rewards, the more you can save. I use the Fuel Rewards program every time I stop by a Forward Shell convenience store. And you can too. Go to fuelrewards.com. That's fuelrewards.com. You can also download the Fuel Rewards app on your phone. The Fuel Rewards program at your local Forward Shell convenience store. A great way to save money every time you fill up. To learn more, check out forwardconvenience.com. That's forwardconvenience.com. 20 feet in the air is no time to be second-guessing your choice in tree stands. But with the new Primal line of stands, you'll never have to worry about comfort or noise. Primal's new jaw and truss ladder system gives you an extra firm and quiet attachment, even on irregular trees. The Primal Grip Jaw system features a strong set of jaws so you can securely clamp around the tree. The Backbone Stabilizer Truss lets you connect to almost any healthy tree and eliminates annoying squeaks. With single ladder stands from 16 to 22 feet and double stands up to 18 feet, new Primal tree stands have a model for every hunter. To learn more, check out the website primaltreestands.com. That's primaltreestands.com. Stalk your prey the Primal way with Primal Tree Stands. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the show in Tawas on WIOS AM and FM, 1450 AM, 1480 AM, and 106.9 FM. I guess I should have my glasses on. You can hear us in Sandusky on WMIC, 660 AM, and you can hear us in, let's go to Ishpeming, WIAN, 1240 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Great Lakes Charter Training. I am convinced that if you want to be a charter captain, this is, I think it could very well be your best option, but it is certainly a very, very good option. Captain Mel Stackpool runs the program. Captain John Littlefield gave me my class. It was several days of intense in-person training, followed up by a Coast Guard exam that was not an easy thing to pass. I could not have done it. I could not have got my captain's license without the folks at Great Lakes Charter Training. There is a process where you can do it on your own, but really not many people can figure it out. I mean, there are a lot of students who come to Great Lakes Charter Training classes and say, look, I tried to do it on my own. I give up. Can you help me out? And the cool thing about GLC training is that they will guarantee you will pass the Coast Guard's exam. So if you sit through their classes, they guarantee you will pass the exam and get your captain's license. How cool is that? Check them out online. There are a series of classes, by the way, going on across the state this winter. If you want to find out where, when, how much, and all those details, check out the website glctraining.com. That's glctraining.com. Tell them the big guy. Tell them Mike Avery sent you that I highly, highly recommend those folks. Talking now with Glenn Duncan of Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City about a variety of topics. Glenn, I can't let the ammo shortage go quite yet. How long can we expect this limit in the supply of ammo?
Well, Remington is supposed to be up and running in April, and so that's going to help us a little bit. The Fiochi plant is supposed to be up going in January. So we're talking probably June or July at the earliest to have a comfortable feeling.
Really? How much role, and I don't want to get too far off track here, but how much role does politics and elections and such play in all this? I've always heard that elections, no matter who wins, so this isn't a political statement, but elections in general are usually good for gun sales.
It is very true. Very, very true. Everybody is worried that you're going to get the House different, the Senate different, the President different. All those little things can change on what our feelings are, what's going to happen. ATF has to work for the government, and so they're working for the House and the Senate, and they're working for the President. And so they have to go and listen to them and find out what's going on. So we're trying to feel comfortable about what ATF is doing and what their assignments are and stuff. And there's a lot of going on in moving people around. And in 1 minute, you'd think that this senator is for 4 guns. The next minute, senator likes some bill that's got one wording in it, or the feel of the country even. It can make it totally change what's going on.
Glenn, aside from running Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City, I know you are also actively, intimately involved in guns and shooting and gun control issues at the national level. You are involved in several different groups. Any more concern at this point than in a normal election year at all?
Right now, we're waiting for Georgia to figure out what happens in Georgia, and that's going to make a big decision on what's happening and stuff. Whenever there's riots, whenever there's unrest around the country, that makes a big difference into people's minds. And a lot of people jump real quick and say, "Let's just ban guns." We got to. Well, the honest citizen, the people that listen to your radio station, the people that come into the gun shop, are not the problem. And there's more good people in this world than there is bad people. And so we just got to figure out how to get the bad people, the mental people, and those, and be able to figure out how to work with them to get us be able to make sure who we're selling to.
All right. So now let's go back to that original topic about maintenance.
I'd love to.
Yeah. I put you on a hot seat long enough. Are today's guns actually? I don't want to say. I can't think of how to say that. They're not tougher. They're not built better. But are they able to handle abuse and lack of maintenance more than the guns did, say, when I was a kid growing up?
Okay. Yes and no, and that makes it really hard. And the reason why I say yes and no. There's a lot of new guns being built right now with the old finishes that you had on your gun, but instead of being high polished and blued and everything else, they're matte finished. So Remington was in their express models and their cheaper models of bolt actions. The finish they put on wasn't that protective of the metal and stuff, and so those were guns that we had to clean more and wipe them down more. And when you go out and hunt and you were talking about rain and this kind of stuff, it's a good dry day and everything is great, and your gun's not condensating because the night before it was 2 degrees out and now I'm just saying 4 degrees,
yeah.
and that your gun can condensate. And so then we need to that's just like putting water on your gun and stuff. So we need to get silicones and oils and stuff that are good to wipe down and keep your gun. More problems are on the outside than the inside. Yes, if you've been in the rain, then we need to get on the inside. But the outside is, if you can get a silicone cloth or a rag with some oil on it and wipe your gun down, keep the fingerprints, because a lot of people have acid. A lot of your hand creams that lady uses have acids in it that helps the hands, but it's not good on guns.
I do feel, though, too, like a lot of the handguns these days, man, I take them apart and I clean the inside. I don't think I ever even wipe the outside off anymore.
Well, you still want to do that. And on the inside, when you're talking about cleaning your guns, the powder and the primers that we're using nowadays are so much cleaner than they ever were. Before you took your gun apart and it was full of unburned powder, it was full of dirt and grime and stuff. And with the new powders that we're using and stuff, there's nothing residues left in the gun. In fact, Winchester, on their wind clean ammo, you shoot a shell, look inside the casing, and it looks like it never been fired. So that's been a great thing for us, the 22 ammo market. The powder is so much cleaner. The only thing you got with the 22 ammo, when you start shooting a lot of lead bullets, then you want to make sure every once in a while run a brush shoot to get that lead out of the barrel. But you see a lot of them are putting copper jackets on it, a wash system on the 22 ammo just to keep it down. So they're really working at making life easier for us.
All right, so my 30-06, I bought a cheap Remington 783, I think it was, a 30-06 bolt action, just because I wanted a 30-06. I didn't shoot it during the gun season, but I was out in some pretty nasty weather. What do I need to do to that thing to get it ready for storage until next season?
Is it it's probably in a synthetic or plastic stock?
Yes, it is synthetic. Yeah.
Okay, we want to go and unscrew it from the action so that we can get down inside there, because on the Remington, there's actually pockets in the forend. There's little holes that when they casted that plastic forend, we want to get that water, make sure that water is out of there, and wipe down and get some oil underneath the stock area around the trigger guard area. Put a couple drops of oil in the trigger mechanism, and good oil, not WD-40. WD-40 used to be a great cleaner and stuff. It's a cleaner, but it's a terrible preserve. It'll dry as lacquer. So hoppies or We use Break Free. There's a lot of good ones out there. The biggest thing, and I tell people how to test oil if it's good or bad. Number one, take some oil, spray it in a can or pour it in a can, put it in the freezer. If it freezes, you don't want it. It means it's got too much water and stuff that's not doing. It's evaporating fast. It's going to freeze in the wintertime. And then the second one, you want to be able to play with it and stuff and see if it's sticky. If it's going to actually suck dust in the air, you get it inside your gun, and that will help you decide what kind of oil you want to use. Brushes, if you're trying to get lead out of the barrel and stuff, a bronze brush is great, and it's softer than the steel in the barrel. If you got a rust and stuff in the barrel, you'll see us a lot of times using stainless steel brushes because we want to really scratch, and it's not really going to scratch that barrel that much, but it's going to get that rust out of it. Nylon, if you got just a minor, you're cleaning up, you're not shooting lead bullets, you're just using like your 30-30 and stuff. Throughout the year, using the nylon brush doesn't hurt, but I'd rather use a bronze brush for most everything.
So those brushes that I was thinking are copper, they're actually bronze, huh?
They're bronze, yep.
Okay. Is that softer than copper then? Is that why you use bronze?
No, it's springy. Copper doesn't spring, and so copper is known for not to keep a set, and so for bronze is more like a steel that it flexes. When you run a brush down the barrel, you don't want it to flex a lot. You want the ends of the brushes to do the work, but it needs to bend down a little bit so it's got pressure to do this job. If you get too big of a caliber of brush for a 30-30 and you say 45 caliber brush, you're bending the bristles too much and they're not doing nothing. All you're doing is sliding the side of the bristles. So you want the ends on a slight bend. If you think about a Christmas tree and a little bit of snow on it, it bends down a little bit, that's good. If it bends too much snow, too wet, it's going to bend it too much, and it doesn't do anything any good at all. This last part about a brush, people come in and say, Glenn, this brush is really no good. I only got to clean my gun a couple of times and the bristles are breaking. And I'll say, was there a spot in your barrel? You're trying to get that spot out of your barrel? Yeah. So what you want to do is push your brush through your barrel all the way, let it go straighten back out, and then pull it back through after you straighten it, the wires back out because you pushed it all the way through. Then you can pull it because it's going to bend backwards just a fraction. So it's going to bend one way going in, it's going to bend another way coming back out. When you do not let it straighten back out, then it's trying to get an S shape in the brushes, and it just breaks them down because they're so short and brittle.
It might sound complicated, but this whole process, once you've done it a couple times, you can do this all in just a few minutes and save yourself an awful lot of headaches, Glenn.
Yeah, so the rust is not cheap, so we want to keep that rust off our guns and keep wiping it down and keep them oiled up and make it ready for next year.
All right, Glenn, it's always a pleasure. And I'll tell you something else I appreciate about you. I appreciate the fact that the folks at Duncan's are not gouging people on ammo prices right now like some of the shops are, and I think that's despicable when these shops do that. But that's not your problem because you're not doing it.
We're not. We're trying to make it so everybody can have ammo. When you're just a box per person so everybody has a chance at it and keep it in the market price. That's where we need to be.
Glenn Duncan of Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City. The website, Duncan's Outdoor, duncansoutdoor.com. Thank you, Glenn. We'll talk again soon. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Nick Green of MUCC talking about some movement on the pheasant stamp and more right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY, AM and FM, 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Flint on Super Talk 1570 WWCK, and in Ludington on News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your Mid-Michigan Tracker and Angler Quest headquarters. For more info, check out the website, linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com. MikeAveryOutdoors.com. While you're online, of course, check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and head on over, please, to MUCC.org. That's the website of the Michigan United Conservation Clubs. Nick Green is their Chief Information Officer, with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Nick, welcome back. And before we get started, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed this latest edition of your Michigan Outdoors magazine.
Thank you, Mike. That issue was fun to put together, and it had a lot of timely topics about R3, recruitment, retention, reactivation, and some features regarding fall hunting season. So it was a fun one to put together. And
now I'm sure you're working on the next one already.
Yeah, we start pretty quickly. It's kind of a never-ending cycle. We do publish quarterly, but as soon as one gets published, we're already getting content together for the next one.
There is some news coming out of Lansing right now, though. At least some potential action. What's going on, Nick?
Yeah, so just last week we had a couple bills that we've been working on hard move. We had House Bill 4313, which would create a pheasant stamp for a pheasant release program in Michigan. So that had moved out of the House earlier this year. And then just last week with some Senate amendments, it was voted out of committee and then out of the floor of the Senate. So that will be headed back to the House for concurrence and then to the governor's desk should they concur. So that would create a pheasant stamp. You would purchase in the Lower Peninsula, not be required for under 18 years old, not be required on private land, but the money would be used to purchase roosters for putting out on state game areas, similar to the program we had in 2019.
There was some real concern here as recently as a couple of weeks ago that this was dead. This wasn't going to make it. There
was. When we get thrown into lame duck, which is that period where we have one cohort of legislators, some of them are term limited, some of them weren't reelected, so they'll be leaving and a new one coming in that time after the election. Crazy things can happen. So this is how also the MPHI, Michigan Pheasant Hunting Initiative, and the stamp kind of started, was a lame duck period in 2018.
Anything else going on, Nick?
Yeah, so we also had a great bill. It was 5002 and 5003, and those created a voluntary youth fishing license. So this was something that went away in 2013 with the license restructure. And this is a voluntary license, and how this came about was Mark Stevens, who runs Project Fish, teaches thousands of kids to fish a year. Part of his curriculum and classes were to take kids in to buy a license and kind of help build that conservation ethic of buying a license and conservation funding and teach them why it's important. And that became unavailable in 2013. So we were able to get this back through, and it's a $2 license. And again, it is completely voluntary for kids 1 to 17, but it just kind of gets them in the habit of buying a license. And it lets them have their own fishing license. And to a younger kid, that's going to be really cool. That's important. I mean, you would be surprised at those events how big of a deal that is for a kid to smile and show off his license, whether it was $1, $2 free, whatever. Yeah. But it's them being part of the process. And before we let you go, speaking of this whole lame duck, is commercial fishing, is that basically dead? Is that going to have to be revisited after the first? Yeah, I mean, we are expecting that this is going to move into the next legislative session. The Senate Natural Resources Chair made lots of amendments. The department has come back and pretty much said, we're not going to agree with a lot of those amendments. So there's not really any room for a middle ground right now to work on that. And with very limited session days left, we just don't expect much to happen. It's interesting, the world that you guys live there in Lansing. I mean, you've got the hunting and fishing world that you do as a passion, and then you've got the real job of protecting that through MUCC and dealing with the legislature and the politics and such. I'm glad you guys are doing it because it would frustrate me to no end. Do you get used to it? Is it just, hey, we realize this is the system, we work within it, and you just move on? I think it's hard. I'm relatively new to MUCC in 2017, so I didn't understand the intricacies that go into game and fish laws coming in. But 3 years later, yeah, I kind of get used to a lot of it's politics. A lot of it is backroom conversation. A lot of it is give and take. What's the deal on the table? It is frustrating sometimes when there is a blatant disregard for the science that manages our natural resources, but it's something you get used to if you work in this world often.
All right, Nick, always appreciate your time. Send people to the website, MUCC.org. By the way, if you want to save 25% on your MUCC membership, use the promo code Mike, all caps, MIKE. Thank you to Nick Green of MUCC, the website, MUCC.org. This segment of Outdoor Magazine also brought to you in part by Suspension Max. The folks in Suspension Max put a leveling kit under my new Garber Chevy Silverado, and it looks great. It raises that front end up, makes it have a nice, good-looking ride. It's a good-feeling ride as well. Check them out online at suspensionmax.com, and Max is M-A-X-X, suspensionmax, 2 X's.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, this week's Ask Avery segment with a little... probably not the direction I was thinking originally, but we'll find out more after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. Security Credit Union wants to thank you for helping to make them one of Michigan's fastest growing credit unions. Check out Security's Debit Rewards program, where you can earn points just by using your debit or Titanium Rewards credit card. Redeem those points for great gifts and merchandise. Or how about the Save to Win account? That's a Security Credit Union account that gives you all the benefits of a traditional savings account, plus the chance to win big. Every $25 you deposit into this share certificate earns you an entry into the monthly and quarterly drawings. The more you save, the more chances to earn, up to 10 entries per month. You'll build up your savings, earn interest and dividends, and have a chance at multiple prizes. And remember, Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. Federally insured by the NCUA. Have you tried the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks from Michigan Brand Meats? They feature 2 of my favorites, elk and pepper, and I think they taste great. I've been working with the Grillo family of Michigan Brand for a few years now, and I couldn't be happier. Michigan Brand is family-owned and based right here in Michigan, and they make lots of great products. From jerky, sausage, and those Hunter Sticks to their famous Michigan Brand hams, you can't go wrong with Michigan Brand meats. Plus, Michigan Brand can process your boned-out wild game, too. Check out the website, michiganbrand.net, for more info. That's michiganbrand.net. You can buy the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks on that website. Plus, you can get them at Jay's Sporting Goods, all Forward convenience stores, Jack's Fruit Markets, and many other great stores, too. There's a complete list on the website. Again, that's michiganbrand.net for the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks, the outstanding Michigan Brand hams, and lots more. michiganbrand.net.
It's a complicated world we live in. Right about now, I'll bet your head is spinning like a tornado with news and opinions and conflicting do this and don't do that recommendations. Some days, you just want to throw up your hands, go to the woods, and stay there. And you know, that's not a bad idea. Jay's Sporting Goods encourages you to get back to your roots. Do some simple, traditional things for a while. In Michigan's great outdoors, space is one thing we have plenty of. So put as much social distance as you like between you and everyone else, including all your social media pals who somehow just recently became experts on every topic. And one more thing. Before you head out, head into Jay's Sporting Goods. Because even though there are shortages of a lot of things these days, Jay's has just what you need to make the most of your escape to our beautiful wide open spaces. It's the gateway to social distancing the way God intended. Jay's Sporting Goods, Clare and Gaylord.
It's time to think about your pig. You know, the propane tank in your backyard that heats your home. Well, there's no better company to fill your pig than Forward Energy, covering over 20 counties. Forward Energy is a family-owned and operated propane supplier that's fueled area homes, farms, businesses, and hunters and anglers since 1925. Fill your pig this year. Visit forwardenergy.com to find out about new customer pricing and programs.
With Forward Energy.
When you buy a Michigan hunting or fishing license, you're helping to fund conservation efforts across the state. The majority of funding for taking care of Michigan's fish and wildlife comes from you, hunters and anglers, not state taxes. So on behalf of the Michigan Wildlife Council, we'd like to thank you for your part in ensuring that Michigan's hunting and fishing heritage will be here for generations. Learn how the Michigan Wildlife Council promotes the role of hunting and fishing at hereformioutdoors.org.
You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Port Huron on WPHM. That's 1380 AM. You can hear us in Marquette on WDMJ 1320 AM and in Manistee on WMLQ 97.7 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you each week by my friends at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. And the way the Ask Avery segment works is just that. It's a segment designed for you to ask me, Avery, about a variety of different topics. It can be something you have a question, a concern about. You can direct your question to me, or you can ask me to find out something for you. This week, Rick sent me an email, and he sends the email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Or again, you can hit me up on any of the social media outlets. I now have on my Facebook page, too, by the way, a button right on the front page that says email. Send email. That's a good way to do it, too. And Rick says, we have heard the DNR has been shooting deer at night, paid for with federal dollars. Is there any way to find out how many deer they've shot in our area? And by the way, he's in the TB zone. And Rick, I appreciate that question, and it's a great question, and I had hoped by the time this segment came up in the rundown that I was going to have the answer for you. But I don't. So I don't want to, and I thought I would, so I didn't come up with a backup. So I don't want to give you bad information. I don't want to make up a number here. So, Rick, this is on hold for me. We'll address this next week when I actually get some good information, because I don't want to put out bad information. But what this does do is it gives me the chance to follow up on something that happened this past week that's been bothering me tremendously. And it's a topic that I have talked about a lot in the past few years, and it doesn't seem to be going away. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. And this is the concept of hunters and anglers not sticking together. In fact, beyond that, hunters and anglers turning on each other and trying to eat our own and bring each other down. I mean, I think that the anti-hunters are not really the biggest concern to us anymore. I think it's the fragmenting and the infighting among the different hunting groups. And in fact, I've been hearing, and I don't see it as much in the angling groups, but in angling groups as well. And it's not just deer hunting. It's waterfowl hunters. It's everything. As an example, this last week, a guy posted a picture on my Facebook page, and I shared the picture because I thought it was pretty cool. He shot a deer with a .45 caliber air gun, and that is completely legal. The comments that started to roll in were not so much about, is that a legal gun, which you always get because the online game wardens want to question whether everything is legal or not, and they don't take the time to research it before they make their comments. They just assume that everybody's doing something wrong. The comments, a large number of negative comments, were in reference to the size of the deer. It wasn't a huge deer, but it wasn't a spotted fawn. But the point is, it was a legal target. The guy used a legal method of take during a legal season on a legal target. And the comments that people coming out of the woodwork were just so mean and so negative and so nasty that I actually just deleted the post because I didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to propagate that type of infighting among ourselves. And I was so affected by it and so angered by it that I followed up with a video and said, look, it's time for us to quit worrying about our fellow hunters and anglers. if they are hunting or fishing in a legal manner, I don't think we have any place at all questioning or belittling their outdoor experience, their harvest, their catch, whatever it is. And I don't care if it's somebody shooting a small buck or somebody shooting a doe, or if it's somebody, keeping a trout when, God forbid, you should let all trout go. I mean, it covers all gamuts of the outdoors. But the point is, our way of life is no longer a guarantee as it was when I was a kid growing up. There are far more people in the state who don't hunt or fish than who do hunt or fish. So we need to do what we can as an outdoor community, and I hate that buzz. I hate that phrase. But the outdoor community, we got to stand with each other. And if what our fellow hunters or anglers are doing is legal, that's the only thing we need to be concerned about. The morals and the ethics are up to that individual hunter or angler. So this hunter who shot the small deer with a .45 caliber air rifle was completely legal, and he did not deserve the type of criticism he got over shooting a baby deer. And Avery, how can you condone somebody shooting a fawn? I condone all legal outdoor activities. But if we continue this type of bickering, and it goes beyond that, it gets downright nasty, we lose track of the fact that we are all in this together, but we choose to enjoy the experience in different ways. But it's an individual experience. So you or I do not have the right to tell another hunter or angler they are doing something wrong if they're doing it legally. Hunt your hunt, fish your fish, and get on with it. Thank you to my friends at Security Credit Union for helping to make each week's Ask Avery segment. Check them out online at securitycu.org, at securitycu.org. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. Tim Roller coming up in hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.